The party has been going for 2 hours. Music playing, people laughing, conversations flowing. Everyone around you seems energized, feeding off the social energy, getting louder and more animated as the night goes on. They're having fun, genuinely enjoying themselves. And you're dying inside. Not because you hate these people, not because the party is bad, but because every minute of social interaction is costing you something. You can feel your internal battery draining with each conversation, each forced smile, each moment of performing the enthusiasm everyone else seems to generate naturally. You excuse yourself to the bathroom just to get 2 minutes of silence. Lock the door. Sit on the closed toilet lid. Close your eyes. Breathe. Feel the relief of being alone, even for 60 seconds, before you have to go back out there and pretend you're fine. Someone knocks. You okay in there? Yeah. Be right out. Your voice sounds cheerful, energetic, nothing like how you actually feel. You look at yourself in the mirror. You look tired. You look like you've been working a 12-hour shift, not attending a social gathering, and there are still 3 more hours until it's socially acceptable to leave without people asking what's wrong, why you're leaving so early. Are you sure you're okay? And the worst part? Tomorrow you'll need an entire day to recover. A full 24 hours of solitude just to recharge from a few hours of normal social interaction that everyone else found energizing. You've been told you're antisocial, that you need to get out more, that you're missing out on life. But they don't understand. It's not that you don't want connection. It's that your brain processes social interaction fundamentally differently than theirs. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly why. Before we dive deep into applied psychology, subscribe to the channel. Tell me in the comments where you're from. Rachel Thompson was 31 years old when she finally stopped apologizing for being an introvert. She'd spent her entire adult life trying to match the social energy of the extroverts around her, convinced that something was wrong with her because parties exhausted her, because networking events felt like torture, because after spending the day at work interacting with colleagues, all she wanted was complete silence. Her breaking point came after a weekend camping trip with 6 friends. 3 days of constant togetherness, shared meals, group activities, sleeping in tents close enough to hear each other breathing. Everyone else came back refreshed, talking about how rejuvenating it was to disconnect and bond. Rachel came back so depleted she called in sick Monday and Tuesday, spending 48 hours alone in her apartment recovering. That's when she started researching the neuroscience of introversion and discovered something that changed everything. Her brain was literally wired differently. Dr. Marty Olson-Laney, psychologist and author of The Introvert Advantage, has spent decades studying the neurological differences between introverts and extroverts. The distinction isn't about being shy or antisocial. It's about how your brain processes stimulation and where you get your energy. Brain imaging studies show that introverts have higher baseline cortical arousal. Their brains are naturally more active, processing more internal stimulation even at rest. This means they reach optimal arousal levels with less external input. What feels like barely enough stimulation to an extrovert feels like overwhelming overstimulation to an introvert. When Rachel attended that party, her brain was working harder than everyone else's, processing every conversation, every facial expression. Every social cue required more neural activity. Her prefrontal cortex, responsible for complex social processing, was firing continuously, analyzing interactions, monitoring her own behavior, managing impression formation. Extroverts' brains, by contrast, have lower baseline arousal. They need external stimulation to reach optimal functioning. Social interaction literally energizes them because it brings their brain activity up to the level where they feel most alert and capable. The same party that drained Rachel was fueling everyone else. But there's another crucial neurological difference. Dr. Deborah Johnson's research using PET scans found that introverts and extroverts use different neural pathways. Introverts rely more heavily on the acetylcholine pathway, associated with long-term memory, focused attention, and reward from internal reflection. Extroverts rely more on the dopamine pathway associated with reward from external stimuli, novelty seeking, and quick decision making. This means that introverts literally get their dopamine rewards from different sources: reading a book alone, having one deep conversation, engaging in solitary creative work. These activities activate the reward centers in an introvert's brain the way parties and social events activate extroverts' brains. Rachel discovered that she wasn't broken or antisocial. She was simply getting her neurological needs met through different activities. Solitude wasn't avoidance, it was restoration. Quiet evenings weren't missing out. They were recharging her actual physiological energy systems. The energy depletion she felt after social interaction was real and measurable. Studies by Dr. Colin DeYoung found that introverts show increased activation in brain regions associated with vigilance and threat detection during social situations, not because they're paranoid, but because their brains are processing social information more thoroughly, more carefully, with more attention to detail and potential conflict. This heightened processing is exhausting. It's like running analytical software in the background constantly. Every interaction requires energy to decode, understand, formulate appropriate responses, monitor for social mistakes, and maintain performance. Extroverts process social information more quickly and automatically, requiring less conscious effort. For them, social interaction is effortless, natural, energizing. For introverts, it's work. Valuable work that can be enjoyable, but still work that depletes finite cognitive resources. Rachel started restructuring her life around this understanding. She stopped forcing herself to attend every social event, stopped feeling guilty about needing alone time, stopped comparing her social needs to her extroverted friends, and finding herself deficient. She created what psychologists call an energy budget. Just like financial budgeting, she tracked what activities depleted her energy and what restored it. Large group events, high cost. One-on-one coffee with a close friend, moderate cost, high value. Solo reading time, restoration. Creative projects alone, restoration. Work meetings, necessary cost. With this framework, she could make intentional choices. Yes to the dinner party Friday night, but only if she blocked off Saturday morning for solitude recovery. Yes to the work conference, but negotiating for a private hotel room instead of sharing. Yes to social connection, but on her terms, in doses her nervous system can handle. Dr. Susan Cain, author of Quiet: The Power of Introverts, argues that Western culture has an extrovert ideal, a bias that values outgoing, socially energetic people as the standard of normal, relegating introverts to being seen as deficient extroverts rather than a legitimate different type. His cultural bias creates immense pressure on introverts to perform extroversion, to be on constantly, to network enthusiastically, to prefer teamwork over solo work, to see solitude as loneliness rather than necessary restoration. Rachel had internalized this bias for years, thought there was something wrong with her because she didn't love constant social stimulation, forced herself into situations that depleted her, then judged herself for being exhausted. Understanding the neuroscience freed her from that judgment. Her introversion wasn't a personality flaw to overcome. It was a neurological reality to work with. Important distinction: introversion is not the same as social anxiety. Social anxiety is fear-based, anxiety about judgment, embarrassment, rejection. Introversion is energy-based, depletion from social stimulation regardless of anxiety. You can be an introvert who enjoys social interaction and still need recovery time afterward. You can have social anxiety and be an extrovert who craves connection but fears judgment. Rachel actually enjoyed many social interactions, deep conversations with close friends, collaborative creative projects, teaching workshops, but she needed recovery time afterward. That need didn't mean she disliked the interaction. It meant her brain had expended significant energy processing it. She also learned to communicate her needs clearly. Instead of making excuses for leaving parties early, she'd simply say, "I'm an introvert, and I've hit my social capacity for today. I had a great time, but I need to recharge now." Most people, when given honest explanation, understood. The ones who didn't, who insisted she should just try harder, stay longer, be more social, revealed themselves as people who couldn't accept her neurological reality. She learned to create distance from those relationships. One of Rachel's biggest revelations was discovering other introverts. Through online communities and local meetup groups specifically for introverts, she found her people. They understood implicitly what she'd been explaining to extroverts for years. Their gatherings had different energy, quieter, smaller groups, more substantial conversations, built-in breaks for silence, early end times. She discovered she could be social without being drained when the social context matched her processing style. It wasn't about avoiding all social interaction, It was about finding the right kind and the right amount. Research suggests that 30 to 50% of the population are introverts. That's billions of people worldwide whose brains are wired to need solitude for restoration, who find large groups depleting, who prefer depth over breadth in relationships. You're not broken if social interaction exhausts you. You're not antisocial if you need alone time to recharge. You're not missing out on life if your ideal Friday night is a book in silence rather than a crowded bar. Your brain processes stimulation differently, requires different inputs for optimal functioning, gets rewarded by different activities. And that's not just okay, it's valuable. The world needs both types. Extroverts bring energy, enthusiasm, quick social connection, broad networks, comfort with uncertainty, and novelty. Introverts bring depth, careful analysis, listening skills, creativity, meaningful one-on-one connection, comfort with complexity, and solitude. Neither is superior. They're just different operating systems running on different hardware. Rachel is 34 now. She works remotely as a writer, a career that suits her need for solitude and deep focus. She has a small circle of close friends rather than a large social network. She declines most invitations without guilt. She spends weekends alone reading, hiking, creating, and feels completely fulfilled. She's not lonely. She's not isolated. She's not missing out. She's living in alignment with her actual neurological needs instead of performing someone else's idea of what a good life should look like. If you feel drained by social interaction, honor that. It's not weakness. It's not dysfunction. It's information about how your specific brain operates. Use that information to design a life that works with your wiring, not against it. The battery metaphor is accurate. You have limited social energy that depletes with use and requires specific conditions to recharge. Learn what drains you, what restores you, and budget accordingly. Your energy is yours. Your needs are valid, and solitude isn't sad. It's necessary, restorative, and perfectly healthy for the brain you have. And that's the end of our experience. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It's very important for us to know the truth. Be honest in the comments, leaving creative suggestions so we can improve the quality of our content more and more. Comment where you're from. Check out the video on the screen. I'm sure you'll like it. See you in a few seconds. We are Applied Psychology, and this is our contribution. Subscribe.